Division One level. And one young lady making the Quad Cities extremely proud right now is my guest, Taylor Pannell, former Rock Island standout and redshirt sophomore down at Tennessee. Taylor, first and foremost, great to see you. You make me feel old because I remember covering you as a freshman, and to know that you're a redshirt sophomore in college makes me feel like an old guy.
No, yeah, thanks for having me. It's been a long time.
Yeah, super excited to catch up with you. And as we mentioned, softball season is right around the corner here in the Quad Cities. But for you, it never goes away. And you guys have already started. So before we start talking about the past and maybe last year, how has the start been? I know you had a successful start to the season. How is it being back in action here in February already at the Division One level?
No, yeah, it's awesome. Like the past month, we've been just scrimmaging, playing each other, and it's finally nice to get out in like warm weather. We were in Florida last week, and we go to Texas and California in the upcoming weekend. So yeah, it's just pretty exciting, like starting everything off.
That is very cool for you. For us here in the Quad Cities, looking at the snow, it makes us jealous of you. Your career down at Tennessee got off to a good start, played a few games, and then you were injured your freshman season. Kind of talk about that, because from jump in high school, from your freshman year, you just played softball, and I know before that you're just used to playing softball. What was it like to get there, to get that Division One level, and then kind of have to sit and get healthy and wait? What was that like for you?
No, yeah, I think it was honestly the hardest thing I've ever done. Like I got here, worked my whole life to get here, started, dream come true playing, and then like the second game, funny enough, it was against Illinois that I just popped my shoulder out and then kept playing on it. Just got worse, got the MRI. It was completely torn up. Like they were like, there's no chance even to rehab it. You have to get surgery. Like you're done. And thankfully enough, I'm really grateful that I would like two more games if I played, like I wouldn't be able to redshirt because it's like a certain percentage. I'm not
Mhm.
exactly sure how it was, but yeah, I played just at the cutoff, so I was able to redshirt and get that year back. So
Had
just
you
rehabbed it that whole year, and then it just got better.
had you been injured before? Had you gone through? Maybe not to that extent, but what I can remember in high school, you're pretty healthy. Had you ever dealt with any type of injury through your life?
No, like that was the first time I've actually like had an injury that I had to like sit out for. Like normally, like something small, I would still play through it. So that was the first big one.
To go through that, what did you learn about yourself? Not just softball wise, but mentally wise, and having to deal with that. What did you learn about Taylor Pannell as you had to sit, kind of wait and watch, and not have that game you love that's been part of you for so long?
No, yeah, I think forever, my whole life, I've been Taylor Pannell, the softball player. So I had to learn like how to do life without softball and being that like starter every day. And I just learned that it's just a game, like not to take it so seriously. And like my life does not revolve around it. Like it's going to be done one day and I have to live with that. So it's just not to take it so serious.
Awesome. Put life in perspective for sure. But
Yeah.
hey, the good news is you were healthy last season, and you hit the ground running. I think 7 homers, 33 RBIs. It took your team or helped your team get to the postseason, win some games, do well in the SEC tournament. What was it like to get back out there and after having a game taken away, hit the ground running and show the success that you had last season?
No, yeah, for sure. It was a rough start at first, still like fully getting back because I don't think I was 100% till like March fully. So like it was just awesome being able to feel free again and just play because it was a rough fall. But then once spring hit, then I was able to like fully go at it. And it was just awesome being able to play with the seniors we had last year and just trying to make a run for it. But it fell a little short, but that's okay. But it was just a good first like full season for me.
To get on the field, and I'm not saying you didn't have the confidence because you played some freshman year and all of those kind of things, but to see it translate, you know what I mean? Because you played the game for so long at every different level, but at every different level, I'm sure you want to see it translate or the results to show up. To have the results at the highest level and the Division One level, what was that like for you to kind of make sure in your own mind that this is where you belong?
Yeah, I mean, for me, like I always had the confidence to do it. Like I knew I could do it, and it was just pretty cool to see it like all work out and like honestly dreams come true. And I think it was pretty cool for like my parents and everyone back home just to see it. And just like seeing people watching me on TV is pretty awesome. Every text I get, it's like awesome. I think Coach Allison from high school texted me that just the other day, and it just puts it all like full circle moment for me.
Absolutely. We're going to talk about the Quad Cities in just a minute, but I want to stay on the field just for a few more questions because you now go into your redshirt sophomore year, but your third season down in Tennessee. What does Taylor Pannell know, maybe mentally and also physically? How have you changed as a softball player from walking onto campus as a freshman to now as a redshirt sophomore getting ready for your third season down in Knoxville?
Like I said, just not taking it so serious. I think every time I would get out my freshman year, I would be so like down on myself. And now it's just like you just learn from everything and just learn from your mistakes because they're obviously going to happen. Like no one plays it perfect, especially at this level. And just realizing that it's just the same person you were and it's just you're growing and just being able to just like smaller things matter here at the higher level. So yeah.
Um, you talked about the seniors last year. You see them leave. Now you go from being that redshirt freshman or that younger player to someone who's had that experience. Do you see your role changing, developing, being more of a leader on this softball team than maybe you were with that group of seniors there last year?
Yeah, for sure. I think just me having that experience last year, and I'm technically an upperclassman considered on the team. Like I've been here 3 years. I know how like we play and like our culture and what like we want to be as a team. And like I didn't play my freshman year, but I saw what it took to make it to the World Series. And I think we can just lean on that, and that's ultimately the end goal. So I think it's pretty cool that we have some people like me that have that experience.
You mentioned the World Series. I know that there's goals throughout the season, regular season, conference, all that kind of stuff. But you mentioned the World Series. Once you taste it, once you get in it, and it's one of those things I'm sure it's addicting. Kind of talk about that because at a school like Tennessee, that's kind of the expectation is to play in an event like that.
No, for sure. I feel like it's every team's goal at this point is just be the last team standing. And obviously, we can't look that far ahead because we have to look at what's coming up this weekend. But I mean, I went there my freshman year. I couldn't play. I think that was the hardest weekend for me, just being present in that moment and not being able to play just because I was hurt. And like that, we want that so bad. And I just want to be able to say I played there and like we won it. But yeah, so I feel like that's just a goal in everyone, like the back of everyone's head, but we just have to focus on like what's coming up to get there.
Take me to Knoxville, Tennessee. That's home now. I mean, I know the Quad Cities is always home, so I'm not taking that away from you. Trust me. And we're going to talk about the Quad Cities, but Knoxville, Tennessee. You go from being a Rock Island girl and you move to Tennessee. Take me off the field. What's Knoxville like? You're wearing that orange. I know you love being there. They've embraced you. Talk about the community and what it's like to be a volunteer.
I mean, yeah, like I mean, obviously the weather is so much better here. And I feel like just the people, like everyone in Tennessee is a Tennessee fan. Like we'll be walking around just wearing the orange and everyone is just surrounding you with love and just they just know who Tennessee is everywhere you go. And it's just we have like the best fan base. Like football games are every sport is insane with the fans, no matter what it is. And I feel like it just keeps growing every year because we keep getting better in all the sports aspects. So it's just pretty cool to walk around the street. Like they shut down everything for game days. And just being able to say like I'm an athlete at Tennessee is just insane.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. Don't rub in the weather, young lady. That's not fair. That's not fair. We'll go back to the snowy Quad Cities, and you mentioned Coach Allison and your roots here to start. And I think that's something that's always super important, and that I love about Quad City athletes getting to cover this area for 25 years. They leave and they do big things, but there's always a pull back to the Quad Cities. And I think it's the community as well. I think the community keeps track of what you're doing. Kind of talk about that because you kind of mentioned you felt people from back home cheering you along and being proud of you as you did big things way down in Tennessee.
No, yeah. He texted me before the weekend and then after the weekend when I did have success, just checking in. And I thought that was awesome because he doesn't have to do that. Like, no one has to do that because once I left, I was just like in a different part of the country and they're just keeping tabs on me is awesome. And just like when I walk around, sometimes like go watch people play softball, it's like people come up to me and they know who I am. Like, that's crazy to me. like I just like I felt like I'm just watching like siblings play,
Yeah.
and it's just really cool, and it's weird to me because I'm not that big person that likes to like talk and do that thing. So it's pretty cool. Or just like seeing people reach out to me on like social media is insane, and just I don't feel like that, but it's just pretty cool.
Talk about the Quad Cities and softball here in the Quad Cities because, I mean, and I mentioned I did it for almost 3 decades, and it's really good. And they've gone out and done good things individually, but state championship list is long, and both sides of the river, not just in Illinois, but in Iowa, but this Quad City area. You came from it, you grew up with it. Softball in the Quad Cities can hold their own with almost anybody around the area, can they not?
I believe so. I mean, I haven't played there in a while, but every time I go back, like I feel like softball is the sport that we go back to, and I feel like it's getting people out of the Quad Cities. Not saying that everyone wants to leave it, but it's getting people scholarships, it's getting people to college, and it's pretty cool just seeing how far people can go with the sport in the Quad Cities. Because I feel like people, it would be California, they would say like, oh, like they recruit there, but it's like no, people are starting to recruit more out of the Quad Cities, so it's pretty awesome the experiences people get from just playing in the Quad Cities.
I talked to you when we got on here before we started, and I said, "Do you get home?" And you said, "Yeah, a little bit in the off season, Thanksgiving, Christmas, those kind of things." What do you miss about the Quad Cities? And you can't say family because that's obvious. Are there certain things in parts of the Quad Cities? I know family's number one. I get that, but what do you miss about the Quad Cities, this area, and what do you got to do when you get back here?
Well, I don't know. I just honestly do hang out with my family. But I would say during Christmas time, it doesn't feel like Christmas here because it does not get cold, and like you won't see snow on Christmas. So I feel like that's a big part because I'm a big like I love Christmas. I love the holidays, just spending it with family, and it doesn't feel like that here.
Sure.
But and then I do like the break it gives me from Tennessee. Like at Tennessee, it's all softball, like 24/7, and like I get to go home and practice with my dad and just break from this type of softball and just like slow it down a little bit. And so I feel like that's a big like part that's really important to me.
I've known your dad for a long time. I've known your mom for a long time. Went to school with your mom, and they've been very influential with you and been great with you. And you mentioned going back home and practicing with dad. Kind of talk about mom and dad for a second, and what they've meant to you, not just growing up in this game, but obviously through the injuries and all that kind of stuff. It's good to have a solid foundation like those two, isn't it?
No, yeah, my dad's like die hard softball, like biggest softball fan you can meet, like knows everything. And then my mom's like just the biggest supporter. Like she doesn't care what's going on in the field. Like she's just there to support me and just talk about whatever I want to talk about, even if it's not softball. So I feel like it's a good balance between the two. And so yeah, they go everywhere and support me no matter where I'm playing.
I gotta put you on the spot again. I ask people when they come on from the Quad Cities and aren't here, when you get back here, is there anything you got to hit up? Is it like, man, I love to go to, I always use Hungry Hobo because I love Hungry Hobo. Or is there a restaurant, a place, Whitey's? Is there something that you get home and you're like, okay, now that I'm home, I got to swing by here and do this or eat this?
Mm, there's this place in Milan called Cactus. It's like across the street from like where I live. So me and my family we go there all the time because it's like an easy drive
Yeah.
just down there. I probably will go to like an energy drink place like Atomic or something
There
just
you go.
because I do drink a lot of caffeine just to get me through.
There
But
you
that's
go.
about it.
No, hey, we went to Cactus like last week, so I know exactly where you're talking about. Before I let you go, this season and getting rolling and getting into it. Obviously, the season goes quickly and gets going fast. What's next for you guys? And you mentioned taking it one game at a time. You mentioned the trips you take, but a successful start recently. What's up next for Tennessee, and what do you guys have in store? During the regular season. Obviously, you got to take one step at a time.
No, yeah, I think this season will prove a lot because I think, 3 time back to like SEC champs. And now that we have Oklahoma and Texas in there, that's going to really show us like we're going to have to battle it out with all of them. Like it's going to be a really good conference and a really good season just to see where we're at. And we play away both times against Texas and Oklahoma. So that'll be a challenge. And I think it's just going to make us stronger in the end. Like whatever happens, happens. But then it gets us ready for postseason.
One last one for you. What is the moment at Tennessee that you realized that I'm an SEC softball player? Was there a hit, a moment, a home run that you're like, okay, I've arrived, I'm here? Or what's your favorite moment as a volunteer so far?
Uh, I mean, my freshman year, I hit a home run, and that was not like the moment, but like I think it was pretty cool to see. Okay, so my freshman year, I tore my arm, right, and I
Yeah.
still played, and I hit the home run, and it was awful. It was my first home run, and I couldn't really like celebrate it. And then this past weekend, I was on the field where I tore my arm, and I hit a grand slam, so I thought that was pretty awesome.
That is more than pretty awesome. That's
Yeah.
outstanding. Well done, young lady. Well, I appreciate you doing this. Um, I know softball season comes quick and all that kind of stuff, and I was somebody that I wanted to catch up with and chat with. So I appreciate you doing it. Best of luck down there in Tennessee. And next time you're back at home, maybe after winning an SEC championship and maybe a national championship, we'll catch up again.
All right, perfect.
Awesome. She is Taylor Pannell, former Rock Island standout and Tennessee volunteer. Best of luck the rest of the way, Taylor.
Thank you so much.
All right. We are just getting warmed up.